Welcome to the Stranger Than Fiction podcast. I'm Chase.
And I'm Adam. On this episode, I'm not looking forward to this episode.
No. This is, I would recommend if you're listening to this by yourself to find somebody to snuggle with.
This episode, I think, was forced on us by our producer, Allison, as a way to torture us. We are talking about kids. Not just any kids, though. Creepy fucking kids. And, you know, like I see dead people type of kids.
Yeah, I want to murder my family type of kids.
Yeah. So before we talk about some of those stories, though, I mean, you know, we talk about strange things that people believe or stuff that has some basis in reality. So before we talk about some of these stories, let's talk a little bit about why potentially some of these kids may be so fucking creepy. So, I mean, there is some scientific evidence that basically when you're born, that infants can perceive reality and perceive changes better than adults. This phenomenon is called perceptual narrowing. And basically the thought is that it takes our brains, 7 to 8 months to really fully filter out all of the details that are not important to their existence. And so some people believe that this is happening, and this is why children can perceive paranormal events or ghosts or, other things that adults can't. Because essentially our brain learns over time to filter out this paranormal activity. So this is commonly applied for children, like recognizing faces of adults and stuff, but it's kind of being applied by some, in this paranormal lens as a way to explain why kids do so much creepy fucking shit.
Yeah, I can go along with that. I mean, I feel like it's like a survival thing that you either continuously live in a fucked up life and continuously see these ghosts and goblins and everything else and perceive all of this stuff, or your brain adapts and says, okay, we're going to just block this weird shit out, and you're going to go live your life and learn some legitimate things and not be a complete psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a good thing, a good process of, development, that your brain filters this shit out, because that would be just terrifying to have to live your entire life with some of this shit. But
yeah, that actually sounds like Scarecrow in Batman in Batman,
where he like uses the gas or whatever to like show people their biggest fears and stuff.
Yeah, that sort of sounds like what life would be if we didn't adapt.
And that's what this episode
properly
is, I think, for us right now. This is basically the Scarecrow, Allison, having us do this episode.
Blowing gas in our face.
So there's also a psychotherapist named Karen B. Good that wrote a book called Kids Who Can See Ghosts. And basically she believes, and kind of she writes that she uses her time to help parents recognize their children's powers of perception and coaches them to distinguish whether they have psychic abilities or they're experiencing a fluke event. And basically, according to her, a child's chance of citing some sort of paranormal event can be brought on by stressors, or she mentions diet soda, but I don't know about that one. But not regular soda, just diet soda. Food allergies, emotional overload, or a negative home environment. But basically, she goes on to say that there's stressful things that can happen, obviously, which trigger an adrenal overload, stress the hormone cortisol, which sends signals to the part of the brain associated with psychic activity, allegedly, into overdrive. And according to her research, these stressful situations or traumatic events bring about kind of one-time ghost sightings or other things. So this is another possible explanation for why kids can do creepy shit.
All right, so let me ask you this, based on what you just said. So if you is it a perception thing that they see ghosts and experience all of this weird stuff, or is it that there are ghosts around us that the kids can see and communicate with and understand, and it's not necessarily just a perception thing or all in their own head. It's actually a legitimate thing. So it's basically, one, do you believe in ghosts? And then two, can kids perceive these ghosts and communicate with them and know that they're there? Or is this all in their head as like an imagination type thing?
Well, I think that both of these two initial things that we've talked about, perceptual narrowing and caring to be good, they're both saying that ghosts are real and these things are real. There's some.
No, I was hoping you didn't say that.
There's some other kind of thought or research suggesting that these are hallucinations or psychotic experiences that children are having. But as to what I believe, I think that I think that ghosts are real. I do.
Oh, what?
Yeah, sadly, I do. And that
makes sense.
I mean, I have a firsthand experience there, so I saw a ghost.
That's true. We'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw a ghost, so I kind of have to believe in one. Otherwise, I guess I could believe that I was having a hallucination. So there is some research, like I was mentioning, that kids, 2/3, according to some of this research, have these hallucinations or psychotic experiences where they believe they are seeing these ghosts, or that they have imaginary friends, or that these things are happening that only they can see. So that type of research would indicate that I was just in the majority with my experience. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting line of thought that I hadn't really seen or thought about too much prior to preparing for this episode. But it's hard to discount what I saw.
So based off of that, you do feel like you saw a legitimate ghost, right? And I don't want to go into too much detail yet, so let's table it for a little bit later. But just let's give a little teaser as to, you think you saw a legitimate ghost and then it wasn't in your head.
Yeah, but I guess I won't tell you the details yet because you want me to wait. But yeah,
I mean, if you want.
But I mean, I was a kid though, so yeah. I mean, I feel like it was real, but I can't also say that it wasn't a hallucination. So I don't know. It felt real.
All right. Well, let's just go into it then. I mean, that's a good, because we're going to take the same approach for those of you that have listened to some of our weird news stories and stuff like that. We're going to take a similar approach to talking about these weird ass kids that exist in this world. But Adam doesn't have any idea what we're going to talk about. And quite frankly, I've been terrified for most of the day. I have a chill to my bones from reading these stories.
Yeah, I'm the lucky one.
I'm sitting in the basement by myself, just wondering when I'm going to have a heart attack from being a scaredy cat. So if I pass out this episode, it's from the adrenaline rush that I'm experiencing that will consequently end my life. So that's how terrified I am of these stories. But tell us a little bit about your story, because I've heard this story several times, and I told you each time.
You don't believe me.
How terrifying it is.
You don't believe me.
No, I believe you. I believe you. However, I will caveat this, that I believe you, and this is the weird paradox that I'm living in, because, look, I believe, as we talked about in episode 1, I believe in simulation theory. And if I believe in simulation theory, I can't believe in ghosts. Those two things don't exist, concurrently.
They can't write ghosts into the code? Come on.
No, they wouldn't. There's no purpose to that. So I don't believe in ghosts.
There's no purpose to the whole simulation, but anyway.
However, I don't believe in ghosts, and we're not going to make this a simulation theory episode either. But I don't believe in ghosts, but I know my wife has seen a ghost. You have seen a ghost. I've talked to several people that I adore that have seen ghosts.
You adore me?
So of course I adore you. So who am I to negate your guys' stories and say that they don't exist? But that's my caveat of all of this. But please tell your story, because it's a weird one.
It's not like a creepy one like some of the ones you're probably going to tell me later. But
you fucking saw a ghost though, dude. I mean,
yeah, but he wasn't a malevolent spirit.
He was like Casper.
He wasn't friendly. He was more of a trickster ghost, I would say. So,
oh, okay. Explain.
So I was a kid, and still living in Ohio, where I grew up, and I think I was probably like 10, maybe something like that. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know why. I just woke up, and I sat up
Because there was a fucking ghost there.
Well, I mean, there wasn't a noise or anything that I can recall, but I woke up, and at the foot of my bed, kind of opposite the bed, was my dresser. And so I kind of sat up and I looked, it was straight ahead, normal, natural for me to look straight ahead at my dresser. And there I saw the ghost. He was a boy, probably about the same age as me. He was kneeling, and he had a drawer to my dresser open, and he was holding up, and I'm getting, the hairs on my arms are standing up talking about this right now.
Me too. Keep going. Keep going.
But he was holding up my favorite shirt, which was a red polo shirt, like a collared.
You're a pretty exciting creature.
I was.
If that's your favorite shirt at 10 years old.
It was my favorite.
Your red Ralph Lauren polo.
It was just a solid red polo. He was holding it up. He too was admiring it because clearly it was a nice fucking shirt. And I was terrified.
He's a fancy ghost.
Terrified. So I just laid back down, pulled the blanket over my head, and tried to go back to sleep. When I woke up in the morning, because I was eventually able to fall back asleep somehow, my favorite red shirt was gone, and I never found it again. It was just missing. Completely gone.
Everything about the story I hate, to be honest. Like, it's a creepy fucking story, and I don't like that it happened to anybody.
I don't like. It was my
but
favorite
I do have
fucking shirt, man.
I have a few follow-on questions if you don't mind me digging into this horror a little bit more. Because it's not every day you get to talk. I mean, we're going to read some really fucked up things, but we don't have a chance to interview these people. So I have a real life child ghost star in front of me, so I want to make sure that I get my time in. But do you have any description of the ghost? What did the ghost look like outside of being ghostly?
I mean, he was kind of see-through, right? So I couldn't say what he was wearing.
Like a transparent type thing?
Yep. And he had like a what appeared to be like blondish hair, like a bowl cut type of haircut.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I couldn't really see his face. It was more from the side because he was like I said, holding up my shirt and kind of admiring it. He didn't look at me. Thankfully, probably would have peed myself if he had. But like I said, I saw him and immediately basically pulled the blanket over my head. So
what's the timeline of this happening? So you wake up for an unknown reason, correct?
Correct.
So from the time that you wake up to the time that you rub your eyes, open your eyes, notice that there's a ghost there or a figure there, and then you pull the covers over your head. What is that time frame? Is it seconds?
Yeah, it's less than a minute probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did you observe the ghost, and what did he do outside of? He held so. Do you see the shirt leaving your dresser?
No. He was already kind of holding it up, admiring it, longing for it when I saw him.
Oh my God, Adam!
So I didn't see the shirt move.
I think I'm gonna cry, to be honest. And then you don't know what happened. You while he was examining the shirt. So how was he holding up? Like you would look at a shirt, like you pulled out of the laundry, be like, oh, this is a nice shirt. Yeah,
like he was kneeling on the floor in front of the dresser. These shirts were like in the bottom. This is like a 4 or 5 drawer stacked dresser. So these shirts were like in the bottom one of the bottom 2 drawers. So he was kneeling and he was holding it up like, in front of his face, like you would like at the shoulders, holding it both hands at the shoulders kind of thing.
Got it. So and you said you don't have any sort of like you don't remember or you weren't able to know like what this person, so you don't get like a time frame like where this ghost could have been from, or if it was a new ghost or old ghost. There was no timeline associated with this ghost, right?
No, so this is when we lived in Berlin Heights, and my parents always told me that our house was on an old